Good morning, World Chronicles audience. Today we get to talk about the goddess Anat. And Anat is originally a Canaanite and Phoenician goddess primarily worshipped in North Israel, Lebanon, and Syria. And she's primarily known as a goddess of fertility and war, which seems like an odd combination. Known periods of worship were from prehistoric times, approximately 2500 BCE, until about 200 Common Era, as those civilizations were slowly taken over. She's also known as the Lady of the Mountains, and in Kemet she was called Anat. Her cultural centers were in Uragrat and generally in places down the corn-growing coastal region of the eastern Mediterranean. In artwork, you see her name specifically in Kemetic hieroglyphs on a stele from Bethsan, and she's described in various other clay plaques as well. In literary sources, she's found in the Ugaritic text from Ras Shamara and various other listings. She's also known as the sister of the god Baal, and we recently did a piece on Baal, obviously a very controversial god. In art, she's usually depicted naked, with her breasts and vaginal areas prominently exposed. She's often confused with the goddess Hathor, and at times the two have been linked together. Anat is described variously as mother of gods and mistress of the sky, kind of denoting her role as a fertility goddess. And in addition to her fertility role, she is a youthful and aggressive goddess of war. She's also venerated during the Hyksos dynasty, where she was prominent in Lower Kemet. A sanctuary was dedicated to her at Tanis, and she is identified as a daughter of the sun god Re, with warlike attributes of a lance, battle axe, and shield. She impressed Ramses II, whose daughter was called Ben Anat, daughter of Anat, and Ramses III adopted her as his shield in battle. The Ras Samara stele describes her as Anat, queen of heaven and mistress of all gods. Known as Virgin Anat, she indulged in orgies of violence, wading up to her thighs in blood and gore. She may be one of a triad of goddesses with Atharat and Asira. In classic Canaanite legend, after the primordial battle between good and evil in the guise of Baal and Mot, Anat searched out the body of Baal. She burned it and caught up with Mot, who was a slayer, and took appropriate retribution. She is also featured in the legend of Akhwat, in which she sends an eagle to slay the youth when he refuses to give her his magical bow. So a long history of legend for a goddess who's almost lost. In the shadow of her brother Baal, and then her association to the goddess Hathor, but still we should remember her name. She is an important deity, useful in understanding much more of Semitic, Canaanite, and Phoenician mythology.